Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today we are going back to basics. We are making very simple buttercream, which is American buttercream. Yeah! Talking about buttercream, there are so many types of buttercream, such as French buttercream, Italian buttercream, Swiss buttercream, and German buttercream. And today we're gonna learn about American buttercream. So in the past, in my channel, I made French buttercream tutorial. So if you haven't watched it yet, please do. The great thing about American buttercream, it's so easy to make and ingredients are super simple. You can probably finish making this buttercream after 5 minutes or so, even if you are a beginner. That being said, if you do not know the crucial points, then the result can look very, very different. So I personally like very light and fluffy, smooth American buttercream. So if you also like that type, keep watching. I'm sharing my tips and tricks and how I usually make it at home. Alright, so let's get started. So today we are using simple 4 ingredients that you can find at any grocery stores, which is butter, powdered sugar, and salt. We're gonna use 1/4 teaspoon. Thank you. And heavy cream. We're gonna use 1/4 cup today. Alright. And that's it. It's super simple. I am showing how I usually do it, which I put all of these ingredients at once in a bowl and beat them together. I totally understand a lot of the recipe says, whip butter first and gradually add powdered sugar little by little, but I am lazy and I like to make things simple if it works. But in order for me to do that, there's one thing that's super important, which is to make your butter soften ahead. When I said soften butter, it should be this soft. When your butter is nice and soft, all the ingredients can get blended much easier. When your butter is still hard or still a little bit hard, as you can imagine, it is kind of disaster to mix them together and it takes much longer time. So today in a room temperature, I left the butter for about a few hours, but my room is not too cold and not too warm. Depending on your room temperature, please adjust the time and make sure that your butter is not melted, because with melted butter your buttercream is going to be kind of grainy and it's not going to be so fluffy. It's not going to hold the shape so well. So that's my tip. At least in the States, what you usually find at the grocery store is this 2-pound bag. So 2 pounds of powdered sugar is 7.5 cups. Hold on a second. So I said 7.5 cups, but depending on the condition of powdered sugar and how you scoop, that can be between 7 to 8 cups, because as you know, cup measuring is not that accurate. So if you want to be most accurate, I recommend to use gram or ounce. But great thing about American buttercream is that it's very tolerant with those small measuring gaps. And today we're gonna use 7 cups. So what I'm gonna do is I am going to take out half cup. If you do not mind that it's going to be slightly sweeter, you can just put the whole bag. It's half cup. You can use that for other desserts, and this will be the 7 cups. So I'm gonna use this whole thing. And I didn't do it today, but especially when you see some lumps in powdered sugar, definitely sift it to make smooth buttercream. And scrape off those butter if you see some. So that it's gonna blend it even more easily, I'm just going to use the paddle and squish like this. Salt. And we're gonna add heavy cream, but instead of adding in one spot or at once, try to just pour around so that it's wet evenly, and that way it's gonna be easier to let them blend. If you pour on a one pot, potentially your butter might get harden a little bit. And once you pour your heavy cream, immediately just start mixing them to prevent that your butter gets a little bit harder with cold heavy cream. And then just squish a little bit. And let's go. So when you beat all the ingredients all at once, the most concerning thing for all of us is to scatter powdered sugar everywhere and make a mess. So here is my little trick. I repeat switching on and off really fast. I call it sneak peek mixing method. Make sure to use that slowest speed, especially when you make a double batch of this recipe. This helps so much. When you use a hand blender, make sure to use a big bowl for this, or you can also add powdered sugar little by little if you want. Gradually turn up the speed and continue beating with medium-high speed. And very important, clean up all around the bowl and pedal. A lot of times on the side and on the bottom you see like powdered sugar or butter attached to the bowl, so make sure you just scrape them off. But at this point it's still dense. So to make very light and fluffy buttercream, you're gonna whip a lot more and let it contain a lot of airs inside. Alright, let's check again. Make sure to clean up this pedal because a lot of times thicker, heavier buttercream is still attached to like the top or between. And again, always scrape off the side and the bottom each time. If you don't do this well, your buttercream will get small chunks of butter or powdered sugar everywhere and it will not be perfectly smooth. Alright, let's clean up one more time and it's done. So just like you see, I like to beat my buttercream really well, and here are the main reasons. First, I like fluffy buttercream simply because it tastes much better for me. I do not like dense buttercream. Also, when the buttercream is chilled completely, the texture is not like fluffy, but it's definitely much softer than the one that is not beaten enough. And also because it's much easier to frost the cake. When the buttercream is not beaten enough, the texture is much more dense and it does not spread as well as the fluffy buttercream. And fluffy buttercream means that it contains a lot more airs inside, which increase the volume of buttercream. So with the same amount of the recipe, you can frost more cakes or cupcakes. And lastly, because it contains more airs, it tastes less sweet. But I've gotta say, American buttercream is still very sweet for my liking, and maybe for you too. So if you do not like the sweetness, I recommend to try different types of buttercream or reduce the amount of powdered sugar. So if you want to reduce more powdered sugar, that's fine. Just know that if you reduce too much powdered sugar, your buttercream is gonna be softer. Less powdered sugar means softer buttercream, and more powdered sugar means thicker buttercream. When you continue beating your buttercream too long with high speed, eventually it starts to melt with heat. But this only happens when you beat for a long time. So just keep checking to prevent this. It is done. This. So I personally like to whip my buttercream until it looks like very fluffy whipped cream. Clean up the side and bottom at the very last and just really double check that everything is nicely blended and very airy. So when you scoop it and flip, it does not fall off. It's fluffy but really stiff. Good. Thanks. Buddy. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Please give us a like and give us feedback. And subscribe to my channel if you would like to see more videos all about beautiful pastries from scratch. Keep baking, and I'll see you in my next video. Good job. Bye bye.
Bye bye.